give us an example or two of how you've seen maybe a story that sticks out, how the Lord is really working in these communities and churches, and then just briefly share what are some needs or some ways that people can partner with you guys.
Okay. Let me breeze through these real quick so I can get to. Does this thing turn off?
No, yeah, there you go.
So I can get to the people that I can tell you their story. This is just some quick. That's not trash. I mean, that was found in the trash, but this is a doll that a little girl that lives in this community plays with. I have two little girls. That picture really resonates with me. But just some of the community. This is a Condom Blah Center where the animism, they worship Satan there, offered sacrifices to him, invite him to possess them and empower them. This is directly across the street from one of our churches. This is an offering just down the street from one of our churches. I'll tell two stories. This is one, again, the importance of planting churches. This is Andrea. This is her children. She is HIV positive. Her live-in boyfriend died of AIDS. The church reached out to her, began caring for her and her family. She came to know the Lord. She walks 2 to 3 miles each way to go to church faithfully. But she lived in this house, which was at the bottom of a hill, and the water, when it rained, would run down the hill and through her house and over the cliff in the back. And the cliff was eroding away into her house to where her house was on the verge of going over. And without any financial help from us, the church members went to hardware stores, collected supplies, raised money, and they went and physically built her a new house for her and her kids to live in. This same church has already talked to her and assured her that when she inevitably dies of AIDS, they are going to take her children in and raise them so that they don't become street children. Again, if you disciple people, it transforms lives. It transforms communities. So this is a story of transformation. Just another picture. Some more pictures. This is the church in Caponda Canoa. I don't have time to tell her story. This is the other story I'll tell, and then I'll wrap it up. This lady, her name is Anna. She had this little boy and was prostituting herself in order to take care of him. She came to know the Lord at our church in Caponda Canoa and walked away from prostitution, walked away from any hope of a livelihood, and to follow Jesus. And this church of very poor people came alongside her. They gave her their blankets and their furnishings from their own homes so that she was able to get an apartment, our little house to rent, and they gave her the furnishings and things out of their own homes to help care for her and to help her to be able to stand and to not have to fall back into prostitution. She's faithful in the church. She's got the heart of an evangelist. She goes and shares the gospel and goes and does visitation and goes to community groups and is just pouring out her life in this community where the church sacrificially cared for her. And I mean, I could go all night telling stories, and I wish we had the time, and I'd be more than happy to sit down with you over coffee sometime. This is Andrea's daughter, the lady I told you about that has AIDS or HIV positive they built a house for. This church, their entire worship band is kids. They led them to the Lord, and then they taught them how to play instruments so that they could lead worship in the church. And her daughter sings. But some needs. 3 basic needs. I could list a lot more, but this new church plant in Torres, we need to raise $900 a month to fund that church plant. Our family, we've never raised all of our support because in the beginning we didn't raise support. We just put everything into church planning, and And now we've tried to walk the tightrope of every time we get to a point where we can start raising our support, we plant another church and we have to raise that support. So we need $500 a month for family support and $300 for insurance. And then we have things in place to expand into Paraguay, but we need to raise about $30,000, and that would give us the ability to go into Paraguay and start this entire process over, and setting up a Ministeri Pon Vivo in Paraguay and putting national leadership in place and beginning a Paraguayan-led church planting movement among the poor in that country.